Hey, lovely people, don't forget to support our show by supporting our sponsor. Go listen to Shattered Worlds RPG and Foolish Wits on your podcatcher of choice, and let them know that you found them because of Unspoiled.
This is an Unspoiled Network podcast.
This is Some Spoiled, A Song of Ice and Fire 2, the co-host Switcheroo. The rereading. Return to Westeros. HBO Spoiler Edition, uncut, uncensored, and too hot for TV, bringing you the greatest hits from 1998. Call in with your request now! These chapters are... Oh, shit, I don't even have my book open. I had another book open. My bee. These chapters are Bran and Arya. Chapters 46 and 47. In these chapters... Well, Winterfell is taken, and Arya helps some people take Harrenhal. So everybody's getting taken. They've been took. And we are shook. Welcome to Some Spoiled.
Monsters are dangerous, and just now, kings are dying like flies.
I am the king!
Fuck the king.
Welcome to the show, everyone. I am Natasha.
I'm Rashawn.
So, just a reminder before we get started. This is the last recording that we are going to be doing before the vacation for my wedding. So just everybody mentally prepare yourselves for there to be 3 weeks with no episodes. And also, if you want extra stuff to listen to because you're running out, you should become a patron and get in on that sweet, sweet bonus content. Because there's a lot. There's so much. There's a great deal. Patreon.com/unspoiled. So, let's begin with Chapter 46, Bran, the most depressing chapter.
Oh.
This just bummed me the fuck out.
Though. It really was. Especially, from the way it started and then the way it ended. It was a bit of a bummer. You are correct.
So we start off with a wolf dream. And we also start off with, Bran finally acknowledging that it's a wolf dream.
Yeah. Can I just say, I loved this little detail that George does here, where at some moments we have, limited vocabulary, as a dire wolf, I imagine, would have a limited vocabulary.
Indeed. I think that's safe.
And then how it switches to Bran and then switches back. These little bits as he's describing the environment, and there's, manholes and man rock. Which
I really don't like that. I actually think I have to say it out loud.
Well, the thing that made me laugh is that, listen. I was thinking, oh, okay, this is cute what George is doing here. But then I was like, but the direwolves are, around the humans all the time. Why wouldn't they just know what these things are called? Because they hear us talking about it all the time. And then
I'm just not listening.
I went back and forth in my brain about that for really much longer than was necessary. But I really got stuck on that for some reason. But yeah, I thought that was I just enjoyed that little bit there. Yeah. When he is in summer, I don't think I like that.
Saying that he's in summer?
I mean, there's nothing really inherently wrong with the phrasing, but it just doesn't feel... I don't like how it feels.
Oh, God. I'm sorry, guys. I feel very, squirrely right now. But yeah, no, I understand your feelings on that. There are some things that make us uncomfortable, and we know why. Like, but we can't explain why.
But yeah, he gets to, like, you know, he's out, and there's the sense of freedom, and also, like, it's the bit where it's summer, but then it's like it's also Bran when he starts thinking about, like, we're trapped in here, and then there's, like, this voice that says, you know, the other side of the Godswood. And then he goes, you know, that ends up not working out either. But yeah, it's like this weird melding of Bran's consciousness with summer.
Right.
Right? Like, so I guess the earlier dreams, when Bran was sort of working in the summer, there was no real part of Bran that was, like, awake and, like, in control or able to communicate. He was just sort of like an unconscious passenger.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But this chapter, Bran's not exactly driving yet, but he's at least, like, in the car, in the passenger seat, you know? Getting a little bit closer.
Instead of in the trunk, just pounding on the lid, going, hey, let me, what is this? I can't see.
That is kind of more accurate, isn't it? So, but yeah, I like that being like, oh shit, Bran is almost driving now. Mm-hmm. Like, he's getting really close to being able to control the actions when he's working in the summer, and that's really fucking cool. The rest of the chapter, though, not cool at all.
Yeah, this sucks. God, I fucking hate Theon so much.
Yeah, we're back on that bullshit. Mm-hmm. You know, some weeks here at Unspoiled, we are very compassionate to Theon, and in some weeks we're just like, fuck that hoe. Mm-hmm. And you know, it really goes back and forth.
This, I feel like what gets me here is seeing him from the outside. When we're in Theon's head, I can feel how conflicted he is enough that it makes me reassured a little bit that maybe there's a part of him that can still be saved from himself, you know? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But when we are only seeing him from the outside, he's putting on such a fucking show. And you're aware that's what's happening. There's no fooling you. You're like, right. He isn't actually convincing you that he is this guy. But putting on the show feels so much more despicable because it feels much more like it's rooted in malice rather than being rooted in just insecurity.
Yeah. That's the thing about POVs in just about anything. I think as I'm finding out for myself now, it's really made a big difference reading versus watching on the show. Mm-hmm. But the trick about being in a character's head is that if the writer intends to make you empathize or sympathize with them or convince you or rationalize, it's really easy to do it when you're inside the character's head.
Yeah.
But when you're watching from the outside, like you just said, all we have to judge Theon on are his actions. Mm-hmm. And his actions are fucking despicable. And he deserves to be judged harshly on them. Right. You know, when we're not in his head and we're not privy to, like, his sort of equivocating and making excuses and all that other kind of shit, you know, then it gets really murky. His
feeling actually guilty sometimes, which you would never know just looking at him.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? It's not... I don't think it's wrong of us to be fucking over his bullshit when you're just judging his actions, because actions are really fucking important, people. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You know, what you fucking do means something. Mm-hmm. And based on his actions, he deserves to have his entire ass beat.
Yeah, 100%.
And I feel like that's
coming shortly. But it just changes the way I feel about him as not really like how I feel about what the consequences should be for him, but it changes the way I feel about him as a person. You know?
Yeah. I think that's the sort of bit of a struggle, too, as the reader, is, like, knowing that the character has so much more going on inside than their actions would tell you. Mm-hmm. And that makes it easy for us to start to see, like, the gray area and, you know, kind of have sympathy for him or hope he does better or hope he, like, hope he's not as terrible as his worst instincts make him out to be. Yeah. And then you get out of his head and you're just like, oh, well, he's just doing that same shit anyway. Like, he knows this is fucked up. In his heart, he knows this is not the move. But he's just going to go ahead and do it anyway?
Yeah.
Fuck that guy.
Yep. Yeah, and when you're in his head and you can see that, like, a part of him knows, you can still sort of hope that that part will grow and eventually win him over and stop him. But when you're watching from the outside, it feels like he has completely shut himself off from that in a way that it doesn't matter that part of him exists that knows better. Almost makes it worse, you know? Yeah, he's anyway, but before we haven't gotten to Theon showing up yet. First, we have all of the wolves realizing that some people are here who are not supposed to be here. And it is really spooky in a way, the way they, like, set up this sort of caterwauling, as the old folks say, trying to let everybody know. And, like, Bran wakes up and he knows because of being in summer, but also, like, the just the alert is clearly being sounded by all of them.
As soon as he wakes up, Bran knows immediately what it is.
Yeah.
That, you know, that he goes right back to Jojen, and the first thing he thinks to himself is, you know, that it's happening. It's happening, just as he said it was going to happen, to see it's coming, or to see his come. And it's really, really eerie to me that he hit specifically on what was happening. not just that, like, some random group of, you know, like, it could have been anything that could have caused the alarm, you know. But Bran knows immediately in his heart. And he also, I think, admits to himself for the first time that Jojen is right, too, about the warging. The warging?
Yeah.
Right, he's like, what does he call himself? It's such a funny, not a funny word, but it made me laugh.
Doesn't he say, like, I'm a beast creature? Or
something like that.
Trying to find it. I'm a beastling.
There it is,
That's I like that, actually. Beastling.
Yeah, it's not something that you hear really hardly ever, right?
No.
It's just, you know, people are usually content with just saying beast.
Well, he's not actually a beast. It's not. I don't think we have a lot of occasion to use anything but beast, because we hopefully don't have beastlings. I say this with the caveat that maybe we have beastlings, and I, for one, welcome our beastling overlords. And we'll be very happy to help them in the sugar mines.
I really enjoyed that.
And I also really like this moment. Let's see. Sir Roderick had needed every man of fighting age he could lay his hands on. And he mentions Dagmar Cleftjaw. There is something about finding out that Dagmar Cleftjaw is that famous, that everybody knows what the fuck happened to him, that I find pretty impressive, to be honest.
Listen, I feel like if there's anything that you could do to make your name ring bells, stopping your face getting chopped in half, I feel like it's going to be the thing.
I mean, it's I just am gonna stick that shit back together. This is a guy who, like, 100% would be out there with super glue, gluing a wound together on a construction site kind of thing.
Can I tell you, I had no intention of sharing this, but
Oh,
since
boy.
it has come up, this is going to sound really, really bizarre. So, I sliced my thumb the other day.
How'd you do that?
I did it at work. It was like a paper cut.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't have any Band-Aids. But what I did have was an Elmer's glue stick.
Oh, no, you didn't. A stick? It wasn't even liquid. It was a glue stick?
It was an Elmer's glue stick. It was a weird paper cut. There was I didn't draw blood, but I I sliced right into the skin, pretty gnarly. And I just glue stick to that.
I can't with you.
Because my option was, in order to get a Band-Aid, I would have had to go up to 24 and deal with the receptionist. Do you remember her?
Oh, yeah.
And I was not in the mood for that.
Yeah, she's a lot.
So I weighed my options.
The receptionist who is like, the literal apocalypse could be happening, and I am taking my fucking break when the fuck I say I'm taking my break, and you can just suck on it. Which, honestly, I kind of respect, but...
We have had a falling out.
Did you? What happened?
We had
I don't know.
It was so dumb.
We have had a falling out. It just really implies that you guys were kind of friends that you weren't, and I know you weren't.
We had a very civil sort of, I tolerated her, and, I have a really good game face when I need it. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, we, it's real icy now.
What happened?
I don't want to bore the listeners. I'll tell you about it.
Rashawn, everybody is dying.
All right, real quick. So part of my job involves mailing a lot of stuff, because even though it's 2021, we're still stuffing envelopes for certain things, and the volume is just entirely too much for us to handle, and it's nonsense work that we don't have time to do anymore. So we have asked, she has been helping us do that, because in her position for what she does, she has time. And I took some stuff up for her to mail, and she sent me an email to ask me if I could bring her envelopes.
Oh my God.
And I was like, you can email the mailroom where the envelopes are kept, or just walk down and get some.
Why does she, does she feel like I'm doing you a favor, so you should provide me with all the tools? Because, that's how you do her doing you a favor. That seems to be, the understanding in the office of one of her roles.
Well, here's the thing. We didn't know that she was mailing for all these other, we didn't know anyway, long story short. So then we had a second run-in about the mailings, because she didn't want to do this thing. And so I was getting, attitude every time it was, my turn to take stuff up to her. And so we had to come to an understanding.
Sounds like you did, though.
Well, I don't get any more emails.
Oh, well, that's all right. I guess that's a win.
And
office culture is really wild.
It is. I can't even go into it, y'all. There's more to it than that, but that's all I'm going to say, for now. But it was wild. It was.
God, I think about sometimes how much I was certain that, that bank job was going to be the thing, and I would, figure everything out from there. And then I got canned for just shooting my fucking mouth off too much. And I'm like, wow, that was really not going to work out. It never could have worked out. It's not that I don't have a good game face when I want to, but because I haven't worked in that environment, I have not got good judgment about what's chill and cool and what's not. Mm-hmm. There is a threshold where people get offended or irritated that is so much sooner than I think it should be because I worked in food service and retail, and you can't have that attitude and still survive in those industries. So I don't even realize I've, committed some sort of faux pas. It's just sort of an alien landscape, It
is, and also, like, the rules are ever changing, and different people can get away with different things. Like, the same person that I'm talking about, we had a woman, and she was Muslim, and she covered. And she was up there one day, and the woman said to the Muslim girl, "Aren't you hot and all that?"
There's a whole comic strip called Yes, I'm Hot. Oh, no.
And the girl said to her, "I don't know, are you hot in that wool skirt you wear?" And that giant sweater.
Oh, she is always in a giant fucking sweater. I remember that. It was always funny to me because she was like buying like things that would be a boyfriend style sweater on an ordinary sized woman, and she is like 5 feet maybe. So on her, it was more like a little child wearing their mother's clothing.
I mean, she just sits up there and like clips coupons all day, but has a giant binder on, like, she reported somebody because they weren't, she keeps like a key under like her, under her tissue box or something, right? It's the key. It's the key to the drawer where the Band-Aids are that I did not go up and get because I used the Elmer glue stick instead.
Why are the Band-Aids under lock and key?
And so one of the people that relieves her wasn't putting the key back underneath whatever the fuck. Oh my God. And she like reported them to HR.
God. See, this is the shit, like, I would get called into HR and I would start laughing because I wouldn't believe they meant it. I'd be like, well, obviously you guys are fucking pranking me right now. Good one, guys. Let me go back to the actual work because I just got told to drop dead by a customer. God damn.
Wild. But it's, it just breeds like this weird pettiness, and it just, corporate culture is just no bueno. It really isn't. Like, I like myself so much less than I did before I started working there.
Oh, that's tragic.
It really is. Oh well,
anyway, all right. So, God, how did we get on this?
Because you were talking about Cleft Jaw, like, gluing his wound together.
Oh, that's right. There was some dude that I knew who he used a staple gun because he had like a pretty deep wound, and he just like stapled that shit like somewhat closed so that he didn't have to go to the emergency.
You knew him from your days of doing meth? Like, what? How do you know a person like that?
No, this was from my days of doing scenery building in technical theater school, and there was a real like dick measuring contest about one,
really, who
could push themselves to work the most hours, and two, who could get injured and keep going.
In the arts?
Girl.
What say you? What are you telling me right now?
This is why I got out of tech theater. It is the most toxic fucking environment. Technical theater combines the insane expectation and manic energy of a kitchen with the temperamental bullshit from artists.
Oh,
it's
that sounds
really,
like a recipe for disaster.
And it just, I cannot emphasize enough. I spent a year and a half in that industry and then was like, nah, not me.
Wow. That's so unfortunate.
Yeah, it's a shame because I think that it's the kind of thing where it's like building video games. You know how there's like this whole like really fucked up work, like when right before a game comes out and they're wrapping it up, all of the developers are expected to do like 80-hour work weeks for the like month before the big drop. Do you know about this?
Just vaguely.
It's just like one of those for your craft you must sacrifice kind of things. And they can really get in your head with that, and you start to believe it.
Right.
You know?
And if you're the one person who's like 80 hours, that's bullshit, then everybody's like looking at you like, oh, you're not really part of the team then, or
exactly,
or this is normal. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Like, oh well, if you can't take the staple gun, get out of the workshop. I'm very eloquent. Anyway, okay, so that's where our buddy Sir Roderick has gone off to with his guys. And later on, Luwin is like, yeah, I did not see this coming.
Yeah.
I maybe should have seen this coming. I didn't. And Bran is sitting there. This is so heartbreaking. He is sitting there freaking the fuck out. And then in comes Theon, and Bran immediately feels relieved and thinks that his brother is with him.
This was awful.
Oh, I hated it.
He is, because these people he doesn't know have bounded into his room after he's been yelling for the people he does know, and no one has come for him.
Right.
And the terror of strangers breaking down basically his bedroom door, and then to see and hear Theon, and like the relief just washes over him, and he feels like he's been safe. He asks them, like, did Rob send you? Is he with you? Like, he feels like this is a fucking rescue.
Yep.
And it is not. It's the opposite. What's the opposite of rescue?
Capture?
In danger.
In danger? Yeah, that feels fair. Murder? Guess that's not really the opposite. I'm just thinking about, like, rescuing, like, if somebody's drowning, and the opposite would be like, oh, I will drown you, which is murder. But that's not really the situation here, so I didn't need to explain that. So Theon's here, and he's like, hey, I'm a prince. We're both princes,
Oh,
Bran.
my God. I don't like this.
I hate him so much.
And Bran is like, he says to him, your father's ward. And because Theon is like, Winterfell is mine. And Bran is like, but you're your father's ward. And the way he says it is like twofold. He's like, well, it can't be yours because you're a ward. But also, like, how could you do this, And what Theon says back is, now you and your brother are my wards.
Yeah.
Theon, you little piece of shit.
Yeah, that's the correct attitude to have there.
Yeah.
And Bran is like, I'm going to fight you and throw you out. And Theon is like, you know better than this.
Yeah.
So, no, you're not. And you better figure out what you're going to say and how you're going to handle this, because I know that you want to do right by everybody. And, just sit over there and think on it.
Yeah, if you want to protect your people, if you don't want to be responsible for their demise, basically, I'm just going to tell you, either you do this or I'm going to take it out on everybody.
Yeah.
And if you're supposed to be a good leader, you better do what's best for your people.
Poor Bran.
And it's just, and that's the thing too. Like, for me anyway, when I stop and remind myself that this is Theon talking to like a 9-year-old little boy.
Yeah.
Like, I know that they're at war and he's whatever he's doing, Theon. But to talk to Bran, to look him in the face after having, like, he's known Bran's whole life.
Right.
And there's just, like, no bit of anything that like comes close to love or if not love, affection, acknowledgement that we were raised together, that Bran has sort of looked at you as a brother figure his entire life. There's just there's not an ounce of that in this. And it's just like, I know Theon is performing in a lot of ways.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm sure if we get to a Theon chapter where he has to think about this moment or these days or whatever, I'm sure in his head there's all sorts of, looking at Bran, reminded me of blah, 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 blah. But at this point, I don't even fucking care. Like, I don't even want to be in Theon's head,
Yeah, I completely get that.
To hear him spin this or really, because when you're in Theon's head, it's the whining and it's also the lying to himself that is, I think that's the thing that gets me sucked in the most is Theon is telling these lies to himself about how and why he's still a good person, even though he is doing these things. I don't know if I can stomach much of that going forward.
I really get that, yeah.
So, and then after he leaves Bran to think, and Lewin comes in, and they get Bran all dressed. Oh.
Yeah, this whole, big meeting feels like the wrong word. Conference, also not great.
His addressing of his people in his constituents.
Oh God.
Yeah, I mean they kind of are. Well, that's probably not.
No, that implies that
they don't get a vote.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it's just this theater,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this whole thing is just first of all, there's Bran talking to the maester because the maester comes in and he's bloody and has to be so they got in, and there's also a moment where he's like, nobody saw this coming, and Bran's like, yeah. But to be fair, Jojen saw it coming but also didn't know what it meant. So it's not this is what I mean about these fucking green dreams. What good do they do, man? When it's going to be this vague, the ocean's pouring over. So let's say you take him seriously, then you prepare for a flood. That's extremely helpful. Great. Now we have all of these fucking sandbags up against the walls and these assholes are climbing over anyway. I don't know. That's
the thing that's the most frustrating about psychic dreams across all different properties, is it's just who were you helping? Who did you really help?
Yep. I don't have a lot of patience for this.
Except for yourself, when you can, after the fact, be like, see, I told you.
Right, yeah.
But other than that, how was any of this helpful?
The thing with that is always, to me, does it feel like the author did this because it was going to be people knowing this would have changed the actions they took, and that was the moral of the story, sort of like Greek myths, where it's the more you try and stop something from happening, the more you bring it about. Or did they just do this to try and sort of trick you? And if it's the tricking thing, I always just want to be like, well, then why? What are you getting out of that? What's the fun of that? I don't know.
Do you feel good about yourself after that?
That's
what you want to say.
It's oh wow, you really fooled me, author of the book who knows everything that's going to happen. I can't believe you pulled that off. You should be able to pull that. You should be able to do whatever. I don't know. I have really strong feelings about prophecy shit in general, and don't have a lot of time for it unless it's done in such a way. So
I'm doing a rewatch of Angel for reasons that I can't really even explain. It's just where I am right now, and I'm at the point. I'm actually probably going to bail because I just got to the Connor years. Remember those?
Oh, God.
When his
worst
kids come.
storyline ever.
But
every time they're like, we're going to have like an evil child. And then there's always what do we do with a fucking baby? I guess we'll age him up. We'll speed time. And there's just, it never fails. Everybody has to do that because babies are boring.
Exactly. But one of the things, one of the plot points for that season was the prophecy. Right? Mm-hmm. And the prophecy is that, Angel's going to kill his son. And, of course, spoilers. That's why Wesley ends up trying to take the baby to protect it, blah, 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 blah. But then the big reveal is that the prophecy is faked. Mm-hmm. Because there's like a dimension/time traveling demon who discovered Angel's kid was going to kill him. So he just goes back and, moves all these prophecies around in order to get them. I
forgot about that.
Right? And when I was watching it, I was just like, first I was like, oh my God, I rolled my eyes really hard. But then the other part of me was like, see? That's what they do, though. That's what the writers do. They just fucking, play around to make shit, manipulate it so that it goes a certain way. Mm-hmm. And, if that's all if that's what you can do with the prophecy, then what is the point?
Yeah.
Of having prophecies.
This is one of the reasons why She Who Must Not Be Named, I always do point out the prophecy about Voldemort being taken out by somebody and him having to go and pick a boy because there are two that actually fit the profile. Mm-hmm. And he picks Harry instead of Neville. I find that interesting because that involves free will, and it means that there was a prophecy that was open for interpretation to a point and required participation to work out, and mm-hmm. there could have been a whole other person involved. There's something much more compelling to me about a prophecy that implies it doesn't have to go this way or this particular way or the way it went. It is a vague enough thing that it causes people to go in certain directions that, I can get behind. But it's just rare that it feels like that's the message behind it all, Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I don't know. Anyway. Mm-hmm. So this is also in the midst of all of this is Rickon, who keeps yelling that he wants his mother. I want Shaggy Dog. Where's father? And he just keeps on having these sort of outbursts, and it feels like he just feels like he's getting younger every time we see him talk to. There's just a vibe of him. Bran even says this in a previous chapter of his, that he feels like it's almost willful that Rickon isn't keeping up with what's going on. He doesn't want to. He doesn't want to admit what's happening. Mm-hmm. Which I can sympathize with.
It's been, I'm not sure exactly how much time has passed, but it's been a fair amount of time, and he's still calling for his mother and his father, even though they've been gone for months now at this point. And I don't want to put too much on how a 4-year-old responds to these circumstances, especially whether if it's willful or not. But I do think there is a sort of a reaction to everything that's happened for a kid that young to try to process why 90% of his family has disappeared. Mm-hmm. And a sort of, I don't know what to call it. I just refuse to accept any of this as real. I just refuse to accept it,
Yeah.
It feels something like what a child would do,
Yeah, definitely.
So they get Rickon, and then they go to the Great Hall where Theon is sitting in Rob's chair. And
so much.
he has Bran announce to everyone that he's yielded. And Theon makes sure to tell Bran that he has to call him Prince when he says this, because initially Bran just says, I've yielded to Theon. And then there is, some talk amongst the loyalists. One Micken is
really going for it, man.
Yeah,
he has decided he's going down with the ship.
He is really not trying to hear this, and barks out a couple of times. I'm not doing that shit. Fuck Theon. Bugger this, bugger that. You can kiss my. He has a lot to say until they end up putting, I think somebody stabs him in the back of the neck. I think.
Yep. He winds up getting lommied.
Yeah. And, is that what we're calling it now?
Yeah. I feel like that works. Remember me.
And then right after that, Theon tells everybody that he's going to be just as good as Eddard Stark was.
My God.
Which is really some giant yarbles.
Sorry, what? Yarbles?
Yeah, that's a Clockwork Orange. Big bullshit yarbles. Yeah.
Wow, okay. I've never seen that. Nor have I read it. It's a book also, right? It
is a book. It is a book and a movie that I really enjoy. I would not recommend it to anyone who hasn't already seen it, though.
Yeah, I know enough about it that I was like, that's not for me.
Yeah, but it is even with, I like the book better than the movie, but I do really like the movie, even though I don't think I'm really supposed to anymore. I can look back on it and it is definitely deeply problematic in a lot of ways, but it's just one of those things that I don't really feel like I'll probably ever watch it again.
Right.
But I've seen it a bunch of times, and it, still sticks in my head.
So yarbles are balls.
Yeah.
Okay. Good to know. It just sounds so close to yabos, which is apparently slang for titties. According to
not aware of that.
According to Hocus Pocus, he likes your yabos. But yeah, anyway, so this bit where Micken gets killed too, I feel so much worse about it having read this series before. Mm-hmm. I feel like you get to know characters a little bit better when you've repeatedly read. Mm-hmm, and so when you get to their deaths after a bunch of repeat reads, it hurts more somehow. And especially because it didn't have to go like this. Micken could have shut his mouth and he would have been okay.
Poor Bran is just quietly pleading, within himself, oh God, please don't say another word. Please don't say another word. But Micken was about that life, y'all.
Yeah, he was.
Also, Theon doesn't command that death. He doesn't say, one more word out of you and I'm going to have my man stab you in the throat.
Right.
But, so I'm not trying to say it's not Theon's fault. Because all of this is his fault.
100%, yes.
But he didn't actually, command for that to happen. However, he could have, I don't know what he could have done. He could have just had them drag Micken away before somebody, stabbed him. Could have had him thrown in a cell or something. I don't know. Anything but that.
I think that it would have looked weak.
Of course.
Yeah. I hate to be yes, killing him was the right thing to do. But I don't think that. But
well, that's the thing, though. He didn't even have the balls to be shut that man up. You know?
True.
This guy, you know, after the third time or whatever, this guy just makes the call. Theon doesn't even make the fucking call. But then after it's done, Theon is all like, and who else has something to say? You know, like...
I wonder if we were in his head, would Theon be annoyed that that guy did it? Do you think?
Probably.
I kind of feel like that. Yeah, I kind of think he would.
And he would be annoyed for multiple reasons. One of those reasons would be that this guy acted without direct order, which is kind of you're not supposed to do. Mm-hmm. But, you know, also he'd be mad because he didn't want it to escalate in this way, and he'd be mad because he thinks the guy acting makes him look weak. He would just be fucking mad and whiny about it.
Ugh, you're so right. I'm so sick of him. I swear to God.
So then he has a thing because poor Hodor is, you know, kind of freaking out, and he tells somebody to shut him up. So then they start beating Hodor. And while they're beating Hodor is when Theon is like, I'll be as good to you as Eddard Stark ever was. Like, they're literally beating him to one side of the room, and Theon is like, I'm going to be great. You guys are all going to learn to love me.
This almost feels like it could be like a Monty Python sketch if it was like just tonally slightly different, you know? Because it's like, really? Do you not? Okay, sure. I don't know. I just, all right. I'm just tired. I'm tired. Mm-hmm. Reading this makes me more tired.
So Theon lets everybody know that, you know, he's got men everywhere, you know. They're at Torrance Square, and they're at Deepwood Moat and Moat Cailin and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
I have the North now. Rob can have the Trident, but, you know, all this is us now. And then Reek steps up and offers his services and his loyalty and bends the knee. And then Osha does the same, even though with more style.
Much more style. Some guy is like, oh, fuck you. And she's like, I'll literally cripple you and make you into tin for the rest of your life. Your balls are in my possession at this time.
And it ends with Hodor taking Bran back up to his room. And that's how we end with...
Fucking Hodor all beat up. I can't do it. Do you hear me? Yeah. I can't do it.
His nose is all swollen. His eye is like swollen shut. And he's crying as he's carrying Bran up.
I can't.
In bloody hands. It's just, it's a lot.
It's awful.
Yeah.
I just really, like... What do you even like? Yeah, it's so pitiful. Beating up on somebody who is like so gentle and defenseless. Like, what do you actually think the statement you're making is? You look weak. Mm-hmm. And it's wild because I was like sort of behind, and I'm not really, but you know what I mean. I felt like I understood the Micken thing, even though. You're right, and that guy didn't ask permission. But Hodor, I just don't see what you're gaining from that.
I think he's trying to recapture the fucking command of the moment, you know?
Definitely, but that's not the guy to do it with. Go after another person. You know? This is a dude who has literally never fought back. Like, that's a part of his personality that is well known, is that he doesn't try to fuck around with and get back at people or defend himself.
I wonder, like, clearly, I mean, this is a kind of a reach, but the people at Winterfell know Hodor, and Theon does, but Theon's men don't. So... Right. Hodor is like half a giant, you know? He's like the biggest guy in the room.
Yeah, okay.
So, you know.
Shut up, Sean. Stop it. Sorry. Stop making sense. I don't like it.
And then we go, this chapter 2. This was a lot.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's a lot, but it's not, but it's a lot.
Well said. Yes.
I mean, there's a lot of, like, moving pieces, and it feels like when you're done, you feel like, oh, there's a lot that happened there. But really, I will say the 2 chapters both have, because in Bran's chapter, when he's in summer, there's a bit where he wants to climb the tree, but the wolf is like, we don't climb trees. And then the Bran,
that's a good bit.
You know, the Bran part has to kind of, you know, until eventually he does, and then he ends up falling out of the tree. And then we get Arya, and she has this bit in the trees as well.
Oh, that's true. I didn't really think about that. And I was just like,
these Stark kids are some climbing trees ass motherfuckers. Just look at them go. But I really...
like a postcard. I don't know why.
But I really thought, I don't know, like, I noticed that happened in both chapters, and I was like, oh, and they both have a similar sort of, like, looking out, I think, like, when Arya's in a tree, she can see the weirwood tree behind Harrenhal, or wherever it's located.
Right. And,
like, has a good view of everything, and feels safe up there. Like, she spent a lot of time up there, you know, she's fighting and shit, and, but they both, like, feel a sort of, I don't know, like a safe place, you know?
Yeah.
And I know that we know that Bran was a climber. I don't know if that was something we knew about Arya or not. Or
I don't think so.
I don't feel
like, we know that she's always trying to do active things, but I don't feel like we've heard about that specifically.
Yeah, so I thought so too. I thought like, oh, okay, she's, all right. But anyway, I just wanted to mention that because I thought that was neat that it was in both chapters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's something that keeps being like brought to my attention, is just how much of a parallel the chapters often have with each other, and it, you know, I'm sure that's purposeful, but I never really noticed on a first read through. Even with the reading through with Brendan, we covered one chapter at a time, so I never really noticed it.
Oh, yeah,
it just feels a lot more obvious now. All right, so Arya's chapter is mostly, what I enjoy so much about this is how she gets around the fine print. This bitch could deal with some fae if she had to. She just knows how to find a loophole, and I respect the hell out of it. Yeah,
it's pretty good for a kid. You know, it was very impressive. She spends the first bit just sort of like you know, Tywin has marched, and what's left at Harrenhal is just it's a different beast. You know, it's not being run like like a tight ship the way it was. There's much more wiggle room. Weiss is gone, and this person that's in charge now, this armory person, and this pink eye person, they
I hate that name so much.
I really do. I wish it was something else, but they are taskmasters, but they're not like on top of everything the way it was before. So she can just kind of get out more. She can get around the grounds more. She knows how to stay like in the dark and in the sidelines and in the shadows. So she kind of just has a run of the place.
Yeah.
In a way that she didn't have before. And when this happens, when this chapter opens, like these guys are returning with all these mummers, these bloody mummers, are returning with a bunch of prisoners that she ends up realizing are Northmen.
Yeah. And she gets a bee in her bonnet.
Yeah, she decides that if she can get them freed, there's enough of them to take Harrenhal from the remaining Lannister people that are running it now. And for some reason, she thinks that Gendry is going to want to throw in with her on this ridiculous plan.
Bless her.
And so she gets her feelings hurt because he is like, I don't even know what you're talking about, lady.
I can't get enough of this. What I love so much is like her, we always talk about how Sansa has read too many stories, and that certainly has truth to it. Mm-hmm. But there's something here as well that feels similar, where it's like she has this adventure in mind and assumes that because this is just the right thing to do in her mind, of course he would want to do it. He would want to help. He's on her side, and she sees it in very clear terms. And he has to break it down for her in a way that doesn't really make sense to a kid. Kids have a much broader understanding, I think, in terms of like the right and wrong of a situation in a way that I think, the individual's personal desires that's never part of the story really, beyond the grand ideals that we're fighting for, or
right.
The person that we're in love with and trying to get, whatever.
She also mistakes or misunderstands or doesn't recognize, I'm not sure which, maybe all three, that her and Gendry are not in the same situation the way she imagines they are.
True.
She thinks of them both as sort of being running from the Lannisters equally, which he kind of is, but he doesn't know it, right?
Yeah.
And she has a feeling like at the end of the chapter, at the end of the Gendry moment, she is thinking to herself, "You're not just nobody like you think you are. You're definitely somebody." Mm-hmm. But for her, this is about getting out of Harrenhal and getting back home to safety, where she's a Stark and there is a place for her and people who are looking out for her and who will protect her and who will welcome her home. And that is not the case for him.
Yeah.
And when she is like, "I'm sure my mother would make a place for you at Winterfell," he is like, "Oh, would she, my lady? How very nice."
Yep. Yeah, like you're doing me some kind of favor when I could just stay here and get that exact same shit without having to risk my life. Yeah,
he's like, his situation also, because he is he has a real valuable trade, as a blacksmith. That's, it's fairly important, and I'm sure could be a good life for him. It's a value enough that he doesn't just get tossed into the kitchens. He gets tossed somewhere to do something he's been training most of his life to do. Right. And he even tells her, I could probably just be the blacksmith for whoever fucking comes here and wants to be in charge. It doesn't matter who's in charge.
Yeah.
And for her, she's thinking of him oh, he must want to get out of here as badly as I do.
Yeah, this is the, getting right down to it. The common people wish for rain and a summer that never ends. They care nothing who sits the Iron Throne. She's got a vested interest because her family is of a certain status and she's been personally affected, and she doesn't understand that other people are just trying to literally live. That's it.
Yep.
She's got honor and other abstract things that she's trying to get involved here, and that's just not the reality for most people.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm not shading her. I mean, first of all, she's a child,
right.
And it's natural for her to want to get home. And if he had a home and a family, I'm sure he'd want to get back to it as well. Mm-hmm. But he doesn't really have those things. He has, whoever his master was, where he was learning how to be a smith, but that's not the same as having parents that you think you want to get back to, and siblings and all that shit. And he tells her basically all of this, and she is just disgusted. And she feels, I I don't know if abandon feels like a little bit strong, but, real close.
I feel like that's not... Yeah, I feel like that's true.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like that's an exaggeration.
And she's so angry and disappointed and hurt by what feels to her like just completely not showing up for her.
Yeah.
And even if her expectations were not reasonable or were idealistic or childish or whatever, like even with all that said, the disappointment she feels when he has to be like, yeah, no, that's not my ministry, I'm sorry.
That's not my ministry.
That's
I've been seeing that around so much lately.
That's one of my favorite, I think it was it Kevin on Stage? The first time I saw that, I laughed so hard first time I saw that.
Did you see him? He posted a twerk for God video the other day. I think it was like an African church, and this woman, it was like, gospel.
Oh, the woman in the dress.
Yes, she was fucking going for it. And he's like, throw your ass in a prayer circle, and I fucking fell over.
I did see
Throw your ass in a prayer circle is honestly...
I didn't hit the volume. I didn't know it was gospel music she was dancing to.
Yup.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Oh, it was so good.
I mean, when the spirit hits you.
That's basically like all the comments were just like, it'd be like that sometimes.
So also she has been avoiding Jaqen because she does not want to give him the third name because she thinks that some of her recent courage has come from knowing that she has this sort of ace in her pocket.
Yeah.
And she doesn't want to give it up.
However, love this. I love the self-awareness that she has around it, because this could easily be something that, like, she doesn't really understand her own motivations, but she does. She gets what power this has and how she doesn't want to feel fucking helpless again. Oh, I love Arya so much.
Yeah. So she goes to the tree. She has this little sword that she's been making that she keeps hidden out there. And she climbs up and she has a bit of a, I don't know, fantasy kind of fight. She's up there practicing, I guess. And and then she goes to the weirwood tree and she prays. This is how I pray, y'all. This is why I can't go to church. It starts off with her being like, I should pray. And then she starts, right? And she doesn't think she's doing it right, but whatever. She's giving it what she has. Mm-hmm. And then she starts thinking, well, maybe I should pray longer. And then she starts thinking about her dad. She's like, he used to pray all the time. And then she was like, where was y'all at? Yep. But she gets so mad. It's been like 30 seconds from the minute she's like, I should pray, to her being all mad at God.
Understand so deeply. This is like Stannis' whole vibe too. He's just like, when the gods ever done shit for me, yeah, I'll have a shadow baby. Let's give it a shot. I don't care. Fuck these assholes.
And right in the middle of this, of her basically cussing out the gods, is when he pops up, and because he's kind of a creeper. He's just suddenly there.
Yeah, he is a creeper. That's true.
And this is when he is just like, well, one, being real creepy because he knows where she is. And not only that, he knows all of her names. Mm-hmm. And every time she's like, how do you know that? He just like, a man knows. And I feel like I could probably only take like 2 minutes of this, a man knows, before I would just have had my fill. I really feel like I would have run out of patience with this.
I'm bored. Talk like a person. I'm sick of fucking interpreting everything.
I know that this is like an amazing character, and part of it is the mystery of him. But also, like, you get 2 times to be like a man knows, a man sees. Before I'm like, all right, well, we're not having a conversation anymore. Clearly, you don't want to participate in this conversation.
Yes, that's really what it comes down to for me. Is just like, am I even here for you? Like, it just feels like it's really about you right now, and I don't need to be here for it. So if you want to go sit over there and figure your shit out, and then come back to me once y'all have like discussed amongst yourselves.
Like, I could just be sitting here talking to myself for what you're giving me.
Yeah.
But, he is also like, listen, bitch, I need that third name, because I got other places to go, and I got other shit to do, and you got me hemmed up here. And then she does this thing where she makes him swear that they're basically, like, she's making him swear there are no loopholes before she pulls her loophole. She's basically like, I can give you any name. Any name, and you have to do it. And he gets like a little like, yeah, I said that. A man has said that.
Yeah.
And she makes him swear, and he swears by like the gods we've heard of and some gods we haven't heard of. Mm-hmm. And once he's sworn it, because she's like, even if I name the king, he's like, oh, Joffrey? Just tell me real quick. Whisper it in my ear. And she gives him his own name.
I will never forget reading this the first time and me just being like, oh, shit. Like, it just didn't even occur to me, and listen, I feel like it should have, but genius. Pure genius to me.
He is... It's such a good move. It's such a fucking baller move.
Truly.
And that it's coming from this little girl who I feel like we're supposed to be underestimating, which I don't actually get a chance to because, haven't seen the show. But I feel like if I had come into this without, I would, which you're supposed to be completely like blown away every time she surprises you. You're like, God damn, this girl is good. Like,
right.
How did she get this good? How did she get this smart? Like, but, I lose a little bit of that surprise factor. But the baller factor is still 100%. That is not diminished whatsoever. And he is outraged.
I love this, because he is so smart and has seemed so aware of her intelligence in a way that I am always surprised at how surprised he is. Mm-hmm. And it makes sense that he wouldn't expect this, because you can know a kid is pretty smart but not think that they're going to be able to fucking lawyer you into a corner.
Right.
But it's gratifying. And sometimes I'm like, is he feigning this? But I don't think so. I think he genuinely is like, can you take it back, please? That would be great if he would just not do. Can you? Yeah.
The only thing I wonder is, and this sucks that I'm even wondering it, because it takes like some of the joy away. But I wonder if, like, say this is not the first time somebody's thought they were being really smart by giving him his own name. You know what it's like? It's like the old joke when it's like, what do you do with your third wish? Oh, well, you wish for more wishes, you know? Mm-hmm. So, like, part of me, like, I don't think I would have thought to give him his own name. But I wonder if that's more common than we think it is, and if this whole thing afterwards is a bit of an act. But I have decided for my own self that I'm going to choose to believe that he has not been given his own name in a long time, and that he absolutely, if it ever before, and he definitely did not expect it to come from someone like her, someone so young and so inexperienced.
I really prefer that. Yeah.
And then he's like, all of a sudden, there's a knife in his hand, and he says to her, you're going to cry because you're going to lose your only friend.
I love that so much. And she's just like, friend? I doubt it. Did you offer to help? No. You boxed me into a corner with this fucking set of rules, and friends don't do that. So I'm not worried about it. Bye. Yeah. And I just love I love all the energy that she's bringing here. It's so certain. She's so absolutely certain. This is the course I'm taking, and you can either get on board or you can go kill yourself.
I love it when he basically accuses her of, losing her only friend. She says, "I'd never kill a friend." Like, I can give your name because you are not my fucking friend. But, I love it. So,
how dare you insinuate I would murder a friend? I am just asking you to murder yourself.
So, she uses this to basically strong-arm him into agreeing to her plan of killing the guards where the Northmen are being held. Mm-hmm. And he sends her into the kitchens to help make the broth and just tells her to be quick, to be quiet, and that she has to obey whatever he tells her he has to do. And so she goes into the kitchen, and they're, making all the food and all this other nonsense, and she gets over to where the broth is. And I'm reading this like, what are they going to do? Are they going to poison the soup?
Yeah.
They should just poison the soup, right? That seems like the easiest way to do this.
I guess you got to find poison, though.
I guess. I mean, he could have found some poison if he needed some poison.
Honestly, I do think you're right about that.
But they decided to go a different way. I was not prepared for how this went, you guys. When I was reading it, I don't. This didn't make it into the show. I don't think there was any of this in the show.
No, I don't think this is how this goes.
So I didn't know what was going to happen with the soup. I legit thought it was going to be poison. So when they all come and collect the soup, him and Biter and Rorge, and I was like, what are they doing back? What is happening? And they're carrying all the soup, and they get down to where the cells are or whatever. And I'm just like, what is the play? The play is just to beat people to death with giant soup cauldrons and throw boiling hot soup in their faces.
Like, that's it. That's all it is. That's the whole plan.
What kind of plan is this?
I fucking love it. It's just so... It's like... Of the plan that, the little rascals would fucking come up with. This is not thought out. And it works! That's the part that's so insane. They pull it off.
I'm not gonna lie. After the soup, the great soup rescue, I kind of lost the thread for the rest of the chapter. I was so fucked up over it. So it works, but I don't understand what happens afterwards, because they go down there, they throw soup around, they beat some people to death. And then this Glover guy comes out, and before Glover comes out, thanks them for
the soup.
Oh my God,
it's delicious.
He says something like, that was a really good plan. He says this of the soup, that was clever. No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't. You don't have to lie to us. He's trying to be gracious to the people who just rescued him. He's like, janky, but I guess I'm out, so I'll be nice about it.
Oh my God. Glover says, I did not expect that.
No shit.
Oh my God, me either. Same, Glover, same. So, they all get introduced to Lord Glover. He wants to know, who's rescued him. And, right when, Jacqueline is about to introduce her or announce her or whatever, she blurts out that her name is Weasel.
Yeah.
So this is where I started to get, kind of lost, because she says in this minute that she didn't want her name said where Rorge and Biter and all these other people she didn't know. And okay, that's smart.
Right.
But by the end of this chapter, she has still not told them who she is. And the whole reason she wanted them rescued and to take over this castle, take over Harrenhal, is so that they could get her home. And I feel like I must have missed something, because at some point she makes a decision that's not what she wants to do, and I don't understand why. But before that, Clover is like, okay, Weasel, that's great. Thanks for your help. Bye.
And just totally dismisses her. She was the brains of this operation.
Right? And, let me see. Jaqen says to her, after the Glover and everybody else leaves, he says, a girl does not understand. And she says, yes, I do. But she thinks to herself, she didn't really, not truly.
Yeah.
A goat has no loyalty. Soon a wolf banner is raised here, I think. But first a man would hear a certain name unsaid. And that's when she, takes back saying his name.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it seems like what he's saying is just like, you didn't realize that they were already probably going to be all right. That's the implication I was getting from it anyway. No?
No, I'm not disagreeing. I'm just like, I was so lost. I don't know.
Because of, when he says that, like, the goat guy has no loyalty, essentially, Tywin isn't here anymore. And I don't think we needed to take this action because these guys weren't about to play by the rules anymore anyway. But I may be misinterpreting that. I don't know.
Okay. So, I have to think about that some more. I probably might have to reread it till we're done, because I really did get lost. She didn't ask the nerve to ask for a third death. She was like, do I still have a third name?
Oh my God, I love that. And he's like, even if you did, do you see all the fucking dead bodies?
Like,
you're done.
There's 3 right there, and there's 4, and there's 8 more over there. And she has to be like, okay, you're right.
There's a bunch downstairs, floating in soup.
And then this is, floating in soup. Girl.
That's what I keep picturing, is them, like, gently, like, just hitting the wall as they float around on this, like, low tide.
That onionless soup is the last thing the cook says, is I haven't even put the onions in yet.
The soup is like, it's thin. And if he complains about it, I want y'all to know that it's going to be your fault. Well,
oh my God.
He's going to have a complaint. I hate to tell you. It may not be what we thought, but he's going to have a problem.
So then this is when he does the thing that we were all at home watching, like, what the fuck is happening with his face?
Yeah.
He says to her that that's paid, and now a man must die, and she takes that super literally, and she got really worried.
Yep.
Which I thought was really cute, because, it's cute. She's like, you don't have to die. I took the name back. I didn't said the name. And he tells her that his time is done, and then he does the face switcheroo. And she has the appropriate response of just like, what?
Yeah.
And she wants to know who he is and how she did it. And she says, show me. I want to do it too. And he says to her, well, if you want to learn, you can come with me. And she has to decide. And she says, no, I have to go home to Winterfell. Mm-hmm. Which is just heartbreaking, because we just got done that last chapter, and we know that Winterfell is we knew already that things were, like, going south, but now we know that there is no Winterfell to go home to. Like, that shit's done.
Done so.
Yeah. And it's sad. Because now we're, like, into another part of this story. I mean, we were already making our way there, but something about that, even though we haven't gotten to, like, I know there's more to come at Winterfell, and, like, the horror is coming, but
man, you really made that sound foreboding. Good for you.
But once Theon shows up there, we are all knowing that, okay, that's that.
Yeah.
And yet, she is still going to be, for the next several years, on this quest to get back to a home that is not really there for her like that anymore.
Yeah.
And that's just heartbreaking when you think about it.
Truly.
And he gives her the coin and tells her the phrase that became like everybody. So my God.
I don't know why I did that. Don't ask me.
I was just going to say the thing that was like on everybody's Facebook for like a year straight, but it is also the phrase that pays. So I will allow it. And tells her that if she ever is in Bravos, just to say these words and they will take her where she needs to go. And then he, like, disappears.
So, what do you think? Do you think that this is going to go the same way as in the show? Or do you think that this is going to be a different storyline? Like, how much do you even know about...
Which this are we talking about?
This being, like... Because in the show, Jaqen Hagar returns. He reappears, later on.
Oh, when she goes to Bravos to study and all that?
Do you expect to see him again?
I don't. All right, so this is what I know. This is what I remember from when I was watching the show and I was like, just looking up everything I could all the time. I know that this is what I know. I know that she gets a nickname, Cat of the Canals or something, right? I remember that, but I don't remember the context. I do not remember why she's called that or what the canals are. Right? Like, I know what they are, but, like, I don't remember, like, if that is from her time in Bravos or if that comes to her from another adventure that didn't make it into the show. And what else do I know? I know that. I'm pretty sure that happens in Bravos, but I don't know if it's tied to her time in the show when she goes and Jaqen shows back up and he's teaching her, like, I forget what the house is called, but whatever. I think that happens when she's there. And I also think that she is in Bravos a lot longer than the show made it seem like. And I want to say... Is she blind? Does she go blind? Did that happen on the show?
Yeah.
But it was only for a little while, right?
I don't honestly remember exactly how they do that.
I can't remember. I know she had to fight somebody in the dark, but I can't remember if she actually was blind.
It's fun to hear you try and recount this when you don't remember even the show. Because we had been operating sort of a new, you're spoiled on some things, but now it's sort of like, is she? But to answer your question about whether he shows up again or not, I don't. Like for the book, I hope he does because even though I get frustrated with his lame, a man knows, I enjoyed his face on the show and I picture him whenever he pops up in the book, so I'm not mad about that. So if he should pop back up, that'd be swell. So you don't want to say whether he will or not, though.
I don't know. I know that she goes back to Bravos or goes to Bravos in the books. I hope he shows up. I mean, will he? I don't know. Somebody will, because she definitely goes there to learn all this stuff. Right?
I can't tell you anything. I just wanted to see, how much you remembered and where you thought it was going to go. Because I didn't know how much you knew.
The thing is, I don't like on the show, she spends all that time with the Hound. Does that happen in the books, or was that something the show did to make up for some other storyline they couldn't fit in? I don't know.
Compelling.
Well, if we're all done listening to me, flounder.
I like that. That's my favorite part of this, is listening to you flounder.
I'm glad you could enjoy that.
Yeah, it's a good time. This is all I want. But I just, especially since we're going to be going on a break for several weeks, I like for people to have something to chew on that they can, wonder how you're going to react to certain things, and just hear what it is you're expecting.
Lord.
All right then. Well, that's good.
I wish.
What just happened?
I wish I could explain it to you guys what just happened, but there's just I can't.
You just short-circuited.
I did. My brain just kind of
interrupted yourself.
I was desperately trying to remember how the fuck she gets out of Harrenhal and what happens next. And then I was suddenly like several seasons ahead, and we were in Bravos in my brain. And I was like, wait, no, that's not how that happened. And then I short-circuited, and that's what you heard.
Man. All right, well then, if you're done with your short-circuiting, I will say hi to new patrons real quick. This week we had Patrick Dunn.
Wait, did we finish? We didn't finish what we were. We didn't finish our chapter.
Didn't it end with the changing his face?
No, after he changes his face, we find out that the people who are in charge now are one Roose Bolton.
Oh shit! Yes, God, how did I forget that?
Which is why I was confused again, because at this point, Roose is definitely still supposed to be a Northern man, and she introduces herself under a fake name, Nymeria. And when the chapter ends, she is like his cup girl, which is weird because that's what they did on the show with Tywin. But it turns out in the book, she is going to like be his cupbearer, serve him at table and in chambers. And why doesn't she tell him who she is? That's like one of her father's sworn bannermen.
I don't know.
But I guess because it doesn't say, unless I missed it completely, I feel like it doesn't explain why she makes this decision. And the best I can figure is that all these new people are in charge, but the Bloody Mummers are still around, and like he said they would be. And maybe she just feels like she can't trust anybody that would work with them. I don't know. It's just weird to me. I don't understand why she doesn't just tell him who she is. Even though I know, and we all know, it's probably better that she didn't, because he turns out to be a treacherous motherfucker. Mm-hmm. But like, there's no way for her to know that. So I don't know.
I'm looking at the spot. So let's see. It was almost evenfall when the new master of Harrenhal arrived. He had a plain face, beardless and ordinary, notable only for his queer, pale eyes. Neither plump, thin, nor muscular, he wore black and ringmail and a spotted pink cloak. The sigil on his banner looked like a man dipped in blood. "On your knees for the Lord of the Dreadfort," shouted his squire, a boy no older than Arya, and Harrenhal knelt. Oh my god, I forgot that Vargo Hoat has this fucking lisp.
It's really it's a thing.
That is just it's really something in the audiobook, y'all, let me tell you. So let's see, she gets, my lord, here's the weasel who made the soup. I forgot that they actually introduce her like that. And she introduces herself as Nymeria, and he has to do the thing where he coaches her to like call him my lord and whatnot. And I think it's just his vibe, honestly. I think that there's just something about his whole, like, energy that she doesn't feel, you know, because he says that she can be his cupbearer, and this time she knew better than to say she'd sooner work in the stables. I feel like she doesn't want to be near him. Mm-hmm. She just gets a vibe off him, but it's not explicitly said. So, I don't know.
That's my only, like, you know, again, it's not so much a complaint, just the sort of, excuse me, just the sort of, I don't know. I guess it's weird, too, because we're in her POV. Like, if she's having, like, why wouldn't it just say, I don't know, maybe it's just being subtle and I just, like, am missing it. I think you're right, like, she definitely is getting a weird vibe from him, but I feel like we're really having to infer a lot more than we normally have to when we're in the character's head and when they can just tell us what they're thinking. You know what I mean? But yeah, so that's how it ends. It ends with her, it's his cupbearer not spilling a drop, and also just like, maybe these men that are surrounding him, the brave companions and the bloody mummers, those are the same thing, right? They just have different names.
Yes, yeah, same dudes.
She's also watching them, like, kill all the people that they had just been, you know, in league with, and then robbing corpses. Yeah. So that probably is giving her a hint, too, that these are terrible people that have come.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point, is that she's just seeing how incredibly, like, easy it is to turn the tide completely. Yeah. And she wants to be around people who aren't as fickle. Yeah. Before she reveals herself. Yeah. I suppose.
I think that's it too. And then the sort of, maybe the lesson that Jaken was telling her about the goat, and she gets it and then sees that it applies to, like, more than just that one guy. It's like it's everybody. Yeah. You know, they'll just serve whoever has the power. Yeah. Okay.
Well, headcanon. All right. Accepted.
And then that is the end of that chapter.
I always picture fucking Mads Mikkelsen as Roose Bolton. The guy who plays him in the show did a good job, but yeah, I just picture fucking Mads Mikkelsen. I can't help it.
He is so fine.
I know that you like those hatchet face types.
Oh my god.
Hatchet face, you know what? That sounds like I'm saying they're ugly because I know that's how that's meant. But when I say hatchet face, I mean people whose face looks like a blade because it's so sharp. Because that's how Crispin Glover also is.
Very sharp features.
Yeah.
God, he is fine as fuck. I don't think Crispin is necessarily fine. Like, I think Mads is fine, but Crispin could get it. I love him so much. I take it back. I do think he's fine.
I was about to say, I'm surprised to hear this.
He is just very attractive to me. I get that he is not conventionally attractive, but he is very attractive to me. I think Mads is much more conventionally attractive and, like, considered attractive by much more people, you know? Mm-hmm. He's just a good-looking man, whereas Crispin is a different type of good-looking man.
Y'all hear her? She's salivating.
I am. I'm blushing.
He's a different type of good-looking man.
I just think he's the bee's knees.
Oh my god.
He's so...
What a fucking dork.
He is so weird, and I just love that for me.
The bee's knees. Get out of here. All right. Is there anything else that you want to say about Mads Mikkelsen before we wrap? Have you seen the Bitch Better Have My Money video that he's in?
No.
He was in Rihanna's Bitch Better Have My Money video.
Oh my god, that's right. Yeah,
he was the bitch.
Oh, fuck yes he was. I'm not gonna, I'll tell you that some other time.
True.
I walked by this place and they had a sidewalk chalkboard out, and it had a picture of him on it, and it looked as if he was going to be there for like a meet and greet.
Oh, got your hopes all up.
Listen, I was on like a lunch break. I was committed to not going back for the rest of the day. I was ready to like the whole day's gone. But it turned out it was just like an advertisement for like
my God.
classes or something. And I got so mad. I was like, you can't just have this sign out here to make it seem like he's coming if he's not coming.
This is false advertising. I am sending you a TikTok right now. It is from Kyle Scheel on TikTok, and this dude, he was talking to some guy who works at a gas station about a promo, like full size cutout of some celebrity, and he was like, can I have this when you guys are done with it? And the guy was like, oh, we don't like get any say in when they come or when they go. Corporate just brings them and then they come and take them away. And he went ahead and made his own life-size cutout of himself for like a fake product and just went to a gas station and put it up, and they did not stop him or notice. And the TikTok ends with him like filming himself walking out of the gas station, like looking around like nobody's gonna... Nope. Okay, I guess I'll just leave it and see what happens. And that's the end of it. And he has promised to keep us all updated, but I, for one, and it's a really, really well done full-size cutout. It is humongous.
I'm looking at it now.
Do you see this? I swear to God. Like, so what I'm saying is they should do one of those of Mads Mikkelsen, and I'll give it to you as a gift for your birthday next year.
I would love that.
Take up an entire wall. Mad about Mads.
I'm sure Steven would also love that.
Can you imagine? Oh my God. You walk into the bathroom in the middle of the night and just almost hit the fucking ceiling because Hannibal is standing there. Jesus Christ.
Oh, shit.
All right, guys. Well, thank you all so much for listening. We love you dearly. I hope you guys have been enjoying this. I have been having a great time. And I know you'll miss us. We'll miss you desperately. But hopefully you'll be able to muddle through without us somehow. And until next time, toodaloo, motherfuckers.
Bye, guys.
Joffrey, Cersei, Walder Frey, Meryn Trant, Tywin Lannister.
That was an Unspoiled Network podcast.